So welcome. I just want to acknowledge the country and the traditional owners. I think that's how it's going to go for the rest of the thing. But yeah, I just want to acknowledge the traditional owners. Lovely welcome this morning by the lady this morning, and I just want to acknowledge their country, their elders, past, present, and in the future. And welcome to the symposium. The first one up is Schaya body. She's from the Australian Tropical Herbarium. She actually works with me in the Tropical Indigenous Ethnobotany Centre. So she's first up and she's very keen to get going, so we'll hand it over to her.
Hi, good morning. Do I just click on it? Okay.
Yeah, just one more thing. So it's about 12 minutes talking time and then a few minutes for questions. Em's there keeping the time. And if you go over time, she'll throw a cup of water on you or something.
Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge that we all gathered here today on Larrakia country. It's my first time here, so I'm honoured to be here. I'd like to pay my respects to all elders past, present and emerging. And I'd also like to acknowledge that across Australia, these lands have always been places of teaching, learning and practice of our languages and culture. I'd like to warn viewers that the next slide may contain images of people who have passed. About me. My name is Schaya. I was born in Mount Isa, grew up in Dumiji. I did my schooling in Cairns, in Queensland, and I now work and live in Cairns. And I work with Jerry Turpin at the Tropical Indigenous Ethnobotany Centre. I am a Kalkadoon and Wanyi woman from Northwest Queensland. On my father's side, I am a Arkit and Bori descendant. And then on my mother's side, I am O'Keefe and Gallagher descendant. On the bottom right? These are my Wanyi elders. They are a big part of me. And since it's for our elders for our native theme this year, I thought it'd be nice to add them in and mention them. My great-great-grandmother is also in that photo. Now the person you can see in the top left corner is my beautiful grandmother. She was the first woman Wanyi Indigenous Ranger to work on our country at Budjimala National Park, and she has inspired me to be where I am now. My inspiration to look after country comes from her. In the top left picture is my grandfather, which I do not know much about as he passed before I was born, but I always hear beautiful stories about him being a humble man. So I always carry that with me and try to be a humble young woman always. In the bottom left photo is me and my cousins out on Wanyi country swimming. Yeah, so I joined the First Nations Gap Year program run by the Department of Environment and Science, which I graduate around end of this year. And that program is the reason why I'm working with Jerry Turpin at the Australian Tropical Herbarium. The Tropical Indigenous Ethnobotany Centre. In 2009, traditional owners in North Queensland identified that a ethnobotany research and resource centre could support them in the conservation, management, use and communication of their traditional ecological knowledge. The Tropical Indigenous Ethnobotany Centre, also known as TIEC, is the first Indigenous-driven ethnobotanical research center in Australia that was established to meet these needs. Up on the slide, you can see the objectives of TIEC, and which consists of recording, documenting, training, and education research. I probably won't read all of that. But yeah, this is mainly what we do in TIEC. Just give it like 10 seconds. A deadly solution towards an indigenous-led bush food industry. Now, one of our major projects within TIEC is the Bush Tucker Project, also known as the Bush Foods Project. It is said that the bush foods industry is worth up to 80 million and could double by 2025. There are 3, not 2, First Nation communities that are involved, along with the University of Queensland and the Department of Environment and Science. And this project is mainly Indigenous-led. The main aim of this project is to conduct research to enable Aboriginal participants to develop businesses from their bush foods and native ornamental plants that they have chosen. Sorry guys, I'm just a bit nervous. That's why I'm like... The long-term aims of the project is to increase Indigenous participation in the bush foods industry and in a way that meets community aspirations, for example, to create jobs for youth, strengthening and promoting culture. There are 5 project themes that are followed within the project. Theme 1 is identification, where we identify new bush tucker and ethnobotanicals, where we collect plant batches, which are specimens. We map locations on country and identify plants taxonomically, which is the scientific identification. Theme 2 is plant production systems. This is where we establish plant production systems, propagate plants for best horticultural options, and develop best practice for sustainable production of food and ornamental plants. Theme 3 is food science, formulations, and safety. This is where we develop the value chain from the source to create blocks. Develop blockchain and mixed reality applications with traditional knowledge imaging and contextualization. And we develop a sustainability index for each project, a product. Theme 4 is business, blockchain, and mixed reality. This is where we develop the value chain from our source to create blocks. Sorry, I think I made a mistake in what wait. I think I just said that. Yeah, sorry, that was meant to be. Food science and formulations. Yeah, so theme 3 is where we analyze composition of plant, food, and food samples. Develop formulations for new and unique products, and comply with food safety and labeling legislations. Yeah, I already said that one, repeated. And then theme 5 is community development. Here we articulate community aspirations to integrate into the bush foods industry, where we do community development and develop intergenerational community participation. In the project, we follow the principles of cultural safety. By following these principles, we ensure that we create an environment that is welcoming and supportive for all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Here is our partners and collaborators. And in summary, this is a deadly solution for the bush foods industry to be Indigenous-led, as we hold the knowledges of our plants and their uses. It will also be a great opportunity to create community engagement with our young and old people. Opportunity to create jobs, opportunities to be back on country and to be learning and teaching. A deadly solution for us. Thank you.
Yeah, well done. That was good, eh? Is there any questions for Schaya?
Thanks, Schaya. That was awesome. Really well done. I'm really interested in the mixed reality and how that sort of what you do in the bush food space. So, do you have an example of something that you do in terms of mixed reality and bush foods?
No good asking me either, but that's why we have partners. So it's important that when we do projects like this, that we have experts that come in and help us, and so we have other experts, not just in the business side, but in the horticultural side as well, and also in the analysing of the vegetables and fruits. So yeah, so we don't know too much about that side of things yet.
Thank you. Thanks, Schaya. That was really interesting. I have a personal question for you. I wanted to know what you enjoy most about working on the project as a young person.
I enjoy, I guess, finding out like the chemical properties of like different bush foods that we have, and just seeing like how sometimes the nutritional value of our native bush foods and plants are like 10 times more. Like, you know, like why do we have to import like foods from overseas when we can have our own homegrown native bush foods and plants that we have here in Australia? I don't know what the like scientific name for one of our bush foods back home, but our language name is dungugu. It's like a little blackberry. Yeah, I think that's my favorite one that we have home. I think it only comes out like around Christmas, and we always, every Christmas, me and my family would go out and collect it and eat it. Any more questions?
Thank you. That was a really interesting talk. There's one bit that I wasn't really sure what it meant, which is the culturally appropriate science.
Oh, yeah.
Could you just explain what that actually means?
The cultural safety principle?
Yeah. And also, there was a bit about scientific research being done in a culturally appropriate way. Does that mean cultural safety?
Yeah. So when there's research being done within the communities that we have the projects with, you know, the communities have all the, you know, they can give permission, or they could not give permission on the research that's being done, whether they want us to keep it or whether they want that information out there. It's totally up to the communities and, you know, what they want to do with the information that is collected. Yeah. Hope that answered your question.
Great talk, Schaya. It's awesome, and great to see you building on your experience from last year as well. Just wondering what you hope to do in the future, like if you stay with Jerry or do something else.
Well, I don't know if much people heard about this, but 79,000 hectares has been given back to my Wanyi tribe from the government. So we're leasing the land to the government of Bujimala National Park. So we're leasing that back to the government, but it's going to be co-managed by my people and the government. So I might be going back home. Yeah, but there's big developments back home, and hopefully I can take my knowledge and experiences that I've learned with Jerry and hopefully keep in contact with Jerry so he can come visit my country sometime. But yeah, my dream is to go back home and work on my country.
Thanks very much. What, you're going to leave me now after all that? Yeah, so there's no more questions. We'll go on to the next talk.